Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna share with you my walkaway story. I've been watching some of your walkaway stories and it inspired me to share mine. So here it is. So I grew up in Northern California, a very liberal part of the country. I was raised by a very liberal-minded family on my mother's side. I went through the California public school system my whole life, which, as you can imagine, isn't the most pro-America minded organization in the country. And as a 20, 21, 22-year-old, I was trying to get my feet underneath me and support myself, but I just couldn't find a job. Couldn't find a job. My mom at the time couldn't find a job. She was very qualified She had a lot of experience in a very prominent, well sought out, popular field in that state, but couldn't find a job. At the time, the workforce participation rate was the lowest that it had been in 40 years. At this time, the unemployment rate where I was living at in Sacramento, California was very high, and all that I heard from anyone was that it's all the conservatives' faults. And one day the penny just dropped for me, and I, realized, there aren't any conservatives here. Right? This place is run by liberal Democrats. These problems are caused by liberal Democrats. On my analysis of liberal ideology, of the Democratic Party's ideology, I agree with them on the ends of things, but I don't always agree with them on the means to those ends. I think that the means that they're implementing cause greater problems and actually lead them farther away than what they're actually trying to accomplish. They want everyone to have health insurance. They want everyone to be healthy. They want everybody, to have a doctor. I like that idea. I think that's a good idea, but I don't agree with the means of giving more money to the government to pay for things will equate to the problem. That's just more of the same thing that we have been doing. We're spending trillions of dollars on this problem isn't going to make the problem go away when we've tried spending billions on it and millions on it. The problem isn't a lack of government spending, it's a lack of reforming the system. Okay, the Democratic Party say that they're for women's rights, they're for protecting women. I think that's a great idea, but they minimize women's rights to abortions and getting free birth control. Right? Women have freedom of speech. Democratic Party doesn't defend that. Women have a right to protect themselves. They have a right to own a gun. Democratic Party is trying to suppress that. Women have private property rights. Women own businesses. Women have money. Women rely on businesses to survive, and the Democratic Party's just tried to suppress and to stop that. They're in the business of taking wealth from people, taking wealth from women, manipulating markets to benefit markets in the economy to benefit the ruling elite over everybody else, over these women who own businesses, or if they don't own businesses that women rely on to survive. Right? They're all about suppressing that. Right? The Democratic Party says that they're for fighting for the African American community and providing them justice and social justice. I think that's a good idea, but then again, the African American community has freedom of speech, which the Democratic Party is trying to censor and stop. The African American community owns weapons, yet the Democratic Party is trying to take guns away from them. The African American community has money, but the Democratic Party is just always trying to take more money from them through taxation. Or the African American community owns businesses, or they rely on businesses to survive. But yet the Democratic Party is all about manipulating the markets to benefit, the ruling elite over everybody else. The Democratic Party says that they're for, the common individual and against the big bad evil corporations, and I think that can be a good idea. But then they go ahead and they support systems like the Federal Reserve banking system, which gives monopoly power on creating the world's reserve currency to a group of small elitist bankers whose identities we don't know. right? They're for systems like the Export-Import Bank, which is a system created by the federal government, which does nothing other than give huge loans to major corporations with money from the common individual, right? They're for other crony capitalist legislation like increasing, like investing the people's money into businesses, which is very crony capitalist, and I don't support. So at that time, I decided to walk away from the left, and I consider myself a conservative. However, I don't think that the battle in politics is left versus right or red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat. I think a better description of the battle in politics is really top down. It's really vertical. It's really the people at the top of the system, people who work for the government, people who run businesses who are manipulating government to benefit them. They're centralizing more power to them versus the people, the common individual, the person who doesn't have a connection to that system, to that network. That's where the battle is. And the debate is, I think a good description of the problem isn't left or liberal, but it's statist. Statist is involved in both political parties. The statists say that the reason why you don't have a good life, the reason why things are hard for you, is because the people at the top of the system don't have enough money and power to make everything fair and equal and balanced for everybody. And if only you would just give them more of your money and let them control more aspects of your life, will everything for you and everybody at the bottom of the pyramid become better, which isn't true. Right? The more that we centralize more money to the state, more power to the state, the worse that things get for people at the bottom. And I think what we need to be doing is we need to be reforming the systems, reforming the government, reforming the relationship between government and business so that it works better for people. It's more and it's more an appropriate relationship and between government and business, and allow the people to keep the money that they need, allow the people to live the life that they want to live, and so you can have a wealthy populace and you can still have government. It's not government. It's not a decision between government or a healthy economy. You can have both. You can have a thriving economy, and you can have a government rooted in its basic idea of being an institution designed to protect people. So that's the mindset that we need to have to resolve this political problem.